Coming to you from the Eon Project Studios, overlooking the vast, pristine acreage of Primrose Village. Greetings from this hidden gem of the Blackstone Valley. You're listening to Experts of Nothing with Mike and Jay.
Hello, Jason.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
It's been a couple of minutes.
It's been a while.
Since we've had
It's been quite some time.
Yes, it's been a while.
What have you been up to, Mike?
Well, just enjoying life with COVID as we all hide in our homes and urinate down our legs.
Yes.
Every day with fear.
Before you came here today, I had to go back because it's been a while since we've done this.
It's been a long time.
We've been on a hiatus.
Actually, this is a special episode.
It is.
Right?
It is a special
Maybe we'll get
episode.
into that after, but you're going to say something.
We will, yes. So, November of 2019 was the last episode we recorded. That would have been episode 48. This is episode 49, if you will.
The dog is happy about that.
He's very happy. And so a lot of has transpired since then.
Lots of things, yeah.
2020 was a chaotic year.
We live in a different world.
The COVID situation is beyond reproach, if you will.
It is a pleasure to be back into the palatial Eon Project Studios.
Did you notice I lit candles for you?
I do see that, and you know what? This is a special episode, as we know.
Quite special.
It's being videotaped.
Videoed.
For national distribution.
I'm going to break the fourth wall.
Hello.
And come back to
those watching.
Yes.
Well, anyway.
You have a tasty beverage.
I do, and I want to talk about my beverage before. Well, should we tease the topic?
Yeah, we're going to tease the topic.
All right.
So go for it. Tease the topic.
So the topic of today is going to be scary urban legends from our area and our experiences with them growing up, which I think is very interesting, number one. But it's also interesting because it's going to be part of a feature documentary.
Correct.
That we are currently filming, and that's why this special episode is going to be videotaped.
That is the
impetus. Do they say videotape anymore?
They don't say videotape.
What do they say?
Just record. I'm recording. I'm recording.
See, I know, but you're not used to being on camera.
I'm not.
But I am. I'm a world-famous Hollywood actor. Been on camera thousands of times.
Yes.
Not really, but I've been on camera before.
Yes.
So this isn't really nerve-wracking for me. But how do you feel about it?
I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
I get a little freaked out in front of the camera because I have a face for radio.
Well, I can see that you're a lot more buff than you were.
I
think you've been hitting the iron.
I've been hitting the iron hard. As you get older, Mike, people tend to become complacent.
That's true.
They get out of shape. They don't eat. They don't exercise. But
what are you trying to say?
When I hit 40, I decided I didn't want to be old. So I went back to the gym. And I start hitting things, and...
You're hitting them.
I noticed that I was losing my hair.
Yes.
So a quick aside.
What? Yes, I do notice that.
No. Hold on. I'm recovering my hair as we speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is the new and improved
version. So the genetics of my lineage, if you will, all the male personages are bald beyond recognition.
Bald and
they all started at the late teens, early 20s. They're all bald.
But you've maintained your hair for
I've maintained my hair for a long time.
Long time.
A couple of years ago, I noticed more hair in the comb. So I started taking steps to prevent that from happening.
You comb your hair?
Well, I do.
I don't comb my hair.
It's just you wake up like that? It's
I
natural?
wake up with God-given movie star looks every day.
All right, so let's quickly talk about the impetus for the show, if you will.
Why don't you go ahead? You do that.
So we decided to get back on the Eon Project bandwagon because we've been talking with one of the great Eon Project fans.
One of the first fans.
51 Pan Man, if you will.
51 Pan Man.
His real name is Brent. As if you're fans of the show, you've heard of him before.
Yes.
And he approached us with an idea that he wanted to create a documentary, a supernatural, paranormal type documentary, if you will.
Yes, but with a little different than what you've seen.
Than the ones that you've seen, as Mike has said.
So what we're going to do is we're going to use this show as part of the documentary process, if you will. We're going to discuss how we got into talking about the paranormal and our interest in the unexplained.
Correct.
And all things strange and erotic, and then kind of dovetail into how we got into this project and everything like that.
And that's per usual here on the Eon Project. We're going to go off topic, as we will.
Like right now when I want to discuss this beverage that I have right here. So, these folks are not sponsors of the Eon Project, but Dunkin' Donuts produces an excellent beverage. And recently they came out with this new product. You're not a coffee guy.
A couple times a week, maybe.
Yeah, not really. I'm a coffee guy. I like coffee. I drink lots of black coffee, and I'm a black coffee fan. And the reason I tell you that is because they came out with this new product. It's called Midnight. Ooh. Midnight Blend or Midnight.
It sounds ominous and foreboding.
It also sounds erotic,
exotic, and erotic.
But the Midnight Blend, if you will, is delicious.
What consists of the Midnight Blend?
It's just a really dark roast coffee.
Very dark.
You don't put anything in. Most coffee drinkers most coffee drinkers just drink it. They put cream, they put sugar,
Yes,
I don't put anything in my coffee. It's bare bones, bareback, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Bareback coffee.
So what kind of beans do they use? I like the word
I don't know.
beans.
I don't know the word. I don't know. But the midnight coffee is number one. But number two, can you see this? And I'm going to point it up to the
I've
camera.
seen that. They put a little stick in there now.
This is new.
What do they do that for?
This is a little brown plastic stick.
Yeah.
And it goes into the mouth hole.
I got it.
And the only thing I can think of is that it's there to prevent heat from escaping from the hole.
How about spillage, you think? Is it sealed? Is it sealed?
You're a smart guy because I didn't even think about spillage until just now. Yes, it is. It is pretty sealed, but it's easy to remove.
Well, here's the thing.
It goes in and out
in this
quickly.
environmentally conscious world we live in, why would they create such a wasteful
Right.
product?
It's solid plastic.
It is plastic.
It's probably like 2 inches
Seagulls
long.
are going to choke on that.
And it goes right into it plugs it. It's like the butt plug of coffee.
The piping plover is going to get that in his butthole.
Piping. If you're a fan of the show, you've heard of the piping plover.
Yes.
Anyway.
And the Cortland warbler.
And the Cortland warbler. Yes. So anyway, I wanted to give a plug to the Midnight Blend. If you like black coffee, which I
Yes.
do, go ahead and give it a shot. Shot.
Yeah.
Not a shout.
So this is, we're just kind of winging it here today.
Yep.
There's going to be a point in the show we take a little bit of a hiatus, a break, if you will. And we're going to maybe play a little musical number. We're going to come back. We have some emails that we're going to read.
Ooh.
Because we've been offline for so long. It's
been a while.
The emails came in fast and furious.
I had trouble getting through security this morning.
You're going to think I'm lying when I checked the email today. There were 666 unread emails.
That's a woeful number. Woeful.
All right.
Anyway.
Why don't you get going?
Oh, so I have to start?
You're going to start. Put your plug away.
I'm going to put my coffee butt plug in, and I'm going to start.
And rip it.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about how Jay and I think we may have mentioned this on an early episode, but probably not for a really long time. And Jay and I have been on the air in various forms for many years. We started off on AM radio.
That's true.
With a listenership of dozens over the northern Rhode Island, southern Massachusetts area. And we once our sponsors died off and they made us give the key back to the studio.
We went in the hole quite a bit, actually. We're in the red.
We still owe them money.
Yes.
So we had to divert to podcasting, and so we did podcasting for a couple of years, and then, like Jay said, we've been on a break for a while. But the theme of our show has always been the unexplained, the paranormal world, ghosts, UFOs, cryptozoology, and you might be wondering, how the heck did you get involved in such a thing? You guys are two upstanding members of society. We general appearances, if you put any stock in them, we don't look like weirdos, do we? Not really.
You don't.
No,
you're fine.
most people who know us know we're weirdos. But if you just look at us right off the bat, you don't know. So we wanted to discuss a little bit how we got into this arena of life, if you will. We've been doing this for many years, long before we started recording. Would you say?
I would say
that's fair to
say. Yes, it harkens back to the youth, and I don't know why. I always found this, the topics of the mysterious topics to be interesting. But as kids, Mike and I would go to the local public library.
Yes,
which most kids don't do anymore.
No, but the library used to be a hangout spot. Like you'd go there and meet chicks.
Kind of,
right?
We'd talk on the payphone with the ladies.
Normal people would meet chicks.
But anyway, they always had these weird and strange books. It was like a Time Life series, I think, of.
It's so funny
mysteries.
that disclaimer, we did not discuss what we were going to talk about on the show. This is all off the cuff. And one of the notes that I wrote down was the Time Life book series, because that's exactly where I believe my interest in this field started.
We'd go to the reference section.
Yes.
And there would be a whole section based on like werewolves and vampires and the occult and all kinds of strange shenanigans.
Yes.
As this.
And we went to Catholic school.
Yes.
So that area of study was verboten.
Very verboten.
Verboten.
Verboten?
It's German.
Oh, I thought that was English, except in a different way. Did
Anyway,
you know English is a Germanic in origin? Did you know that?
English is is it a Romance language?
No, it's not a Romance language.
But German is?
No, German is.
German is not.
It's Germanic.
It's a Slavic language. It's guttural. Just not look that.
So we'd go there. We'd look at these books. We'd peruse the books. Occasionally, we would take them out.
Yes.
But there was one book that was forbidden.
I remember the forbidden book.
And it was behind the counter.
Yes.
And you could not take it out.
Nope.
You could only look at it in the library for minutes, only minutes at a time.
And you had to get special dispensation from the librarian.
You did.
And they weren't like the hot, naughty librarians
Yes.
that you see in movies. They were the old, crusty,
angry,
upset at life.
With the drool coming out of the mouth.
And even 30 years ago, they knew that their profession was dying.
Correct.
Do you know any librarians today?
No.
What would happen? Here's a question for you.
I'm listening.
What would happen if every librarian in the world
Yeah.
suddenly just disappeared?
Nothing.
Would the world be different?
No, you'd go to Google.
You'd. Well, let me ask you a question. If you walked into a library, would you know how to find stuff?
You know, that brings up a good question. That's another mystery. What the hell is the Dewey Decimal System?
The Dewey Decimal System.
I don't understand it. Never have, never will.
It's made up. It's a scam.
It's a scam.
Perpetrated on the world's populace to basically to provide employment for people who can't do anything else.
Correct.
Because these are the keepers of the books, right? The librarians.
Yes.
And they're the ones that keep the Dewey Decimal System. They know what the decimal...
Only they know.
Only they know what the numbers
You
mean.
have to ask them for help.
Yeah. But when you go to Barnes & Noble, right?
Yeah.
Do you need a Dewey Decimal System?
No.
Do you need librarians' help to find anything?
There's a specific category.
Yeah.
And you look alphabetically.
And you go to the military history section, which I
Mm-hmm.
typically go to right off the bat. And again, you have your... It's alphabetized by author, I believe. Even in the bookstore.
Sure.
I could be wrong. But they generally have it, they'll have a little sign that says the Civil War. And they have a sign that says World War II. And then you go on the other side, they got biography section, and they got a fiction. But you don't need somebody to help you.
So going back to the occult book.
Oh my God, I can't believe what a tangent we just went on.
So I didn't have the nuggets, if you will, to go ask the librarian. So Mike and we discussed it. We argued back and forth who was going to do it.
How old were we when this happened?
I don't know, 13,
Probably
14,
13 years
maybe.
old, yeah.
Mike decided, I don't know why, because he's socially inept, but he decided he was going to go ask the librarian.
No, that would mean I'm not socially inept. That would mean I'm socially adept.
I know. Normally you are inept.
Not lately.
But that moment you decided to reach down and grab hold.
That's true.
And you went and asked for this book.
I did.
And she looked at you strangely.
And do you know what the book's title was?
I don't remember.
It was called Demonology.
Oh.
And it had a black cover. You want to hear a funny story? Everything that Jay just said is exactly correct. I asked for the Demonology book. She said no. She said no. She's like, you can't look at this book. You have to be 18.
Oh.
And I said, I have to be 18 to look at a book? And she
How
goes,
did we get it then?
We didn't get it.
I thought we got it.
No.
we
never procured
never
this
did.
volume
Never did.
of forgotten
Oh,
verboten lore.
maybe it's the Mandela effect. I thought we got it.
Never got the book. I saw it. I saw it because we had, and something tells me we reserved the book.
Yes.
Like we called ahead or something and
Yes.
reserved the book. And then when I got there, she's like, no, you have to be 18. So we never got the Demonology book. But it started a lifelong journey.
Correct.
Of fun and excitement that continues to this day. And Jay said the Time Life books, I don't know if you have to be a certain age to remember this, but they did have an infomercial kind of thing on TV where a mysterious voice would come on and say, the Time Life series, The Unexplained. Oh. And it would talk about Atlantis and the Bermuda Triangle.
There was one book where it had they were very graphic actual images of a person turning into a werewolf.
Oh.
And they had a spell on how to turn yourself. It told you
It had the
step by
spell in
step
it?
how to do it.
Did you ever... Well, first of all, did you get the books?
I did get the books.
You bought the books? You had your dad buy them or your mom?
No. I took them out. I checked them out with my own Klan card.
You paid
my
for that.
library card.
Your Klan
not,
card?
Not the Ku Klux Klan.
You're in the Klan?
No.
Oh.
It was
called
an
the
acronym for the Rhode Island Public Book System, something library and whatever.
They probably should have thought of a better name
CLAN.
than the Klan card. I'm a card
I went
carrying
off
Klan
off the
member.
rails quick.
Yeah, that wasn't
But
good.
anyway, so no, I took the books home, but I never had the courage or the gumption to
You never did the spell?
to do the spell.
I
Couldn't do
can't
it.
believe it had the spell in there.
Did have the spell.
If anyone's listening and has a copy of the Time Life book with the werewolf section that tells you how to become, please let us know.
Correct.
Because we would love to try
So
the spell.
this interest as youths kind of went and spurned kind of what we're doing and where we're at today.
Yes.
But flash forward, if you will,
Flash.
many years, because we went about our lives as teenagers and early 20-ish persons.
Yeah, we kind of forgot about the old days.
Forgot about it. We were off across the world, experiencing the nether regions of Earth, if you will.
Yes.
And having the times of our lives.
Times of your lives.
And then we came full circle, came back probably around circa 2009.
Yep.
When Mike found his way back to the Blackstone Valley.
Yes. I was living in the wonderful South, the American South. You ever
Yes,
lived in the South?
I have.
A lot of nice folk.
Interesting
live
people
down in the South.
In the South.
Nicer people than here, I can tell you that.
So we saw an ad in a local newspaper that said they were looking for on-air acts.
That's right.
For a local AM radio station. So Mike mentioned it to me, and I immediately became nervous because that's what I do.
You do.
I had a fit of anxiety, and I thought it was a good idea, but I didn't know if I had the balls to do it. But we decided to take it upon ourselves.
We took a meeting with the station manager.
We certainly did.
And it was eventful.
We did.
Did you say it was eventful?
It was eventful.
Anyway, So we thought, and this was an interesting experience. We've never been on the radio. We had never been on the radio before. Been friends forever. We thought that we would create a radio show, but we went into this meeting with the station manager thinking that it was going to be like an interview, like he would ask us questions about our experience and what makes us think that we're able to talk about these things intelligently. And that's not what happened at all.
That's not what happened. No.
Would you like to explain what happened?
Well, they gave us a key.
They gave us a key to the station.
The studio.
Yeah.
And said, come in after hours.
Yep.
Here's how you run the equipment.
Yep.
By the way, we don't even want to know who you are.
Don't know anything about you.
We didn't fill anything out.
Nope.
We didn't give them any personal information.
No. Just two jabronis.
They knew our first names. That was all.
That walked in
and
with a key to the station.
And a key.
Our whole time on the radio, I don't think we ever saw another person in there.
No.
Like there was not a host leaving or another one relieving you or anybody else. It was just an empty station.
Well, we were on the air in the evenings, on Sunday evenings.
Sunday nights,
so nobody was around.
Nobody. And no one listened.
No, nobody. We tried to get people to listen. There were actually some good shows.
We had some good shows. We had some interesting people call in. We had some folks follow us to the radio station. There was a interaction in the parking lot one time with a rabid fan.
I will say though, it was good practice for what we're doing now, and the reason being is because you actually had the pressure of being live right?
On the
radio. So as soon as you hit the live button,
yes.
You were going out to the masses. If you weren't ready or if you screwed something up, that was it. It was out there.
And we did have we had callers call in, and we had one of those old-fashioned telephones with the push buttons.
The plunger buttons.
The plunger button would go, vroom, it would be very chunky.
And we kept messing it up and hanging up on people.
Hanging up. Yeah, we bothered guests. We had some pretty good guests. We had some people actually think it was a real radio show and got some nationwide known guests. We had a gentleman that was a reporter at the Amityville horror scene. That was one of our first guests.
That's correct.
It's a very interesting
His
gentleman.
name was Rick Moran. You can look him up. He passed away recently,
yes, he did.
Unfortunately. We had a guy named R. Gary Patterson, who was a rock and roll historian, wrote many books.
Yep.
He passed away, unfortunately. I am sensing a trend here.
Yes.
Scott Walter, who has done a number of TV shows for the History Channel.
He's a rock star geologist.
He is. He was on the program, if you can believe that.
Yep.
So there were a few, and it was
local
interesting.
celebrity Jeff Belanger.
Correct.
Of Ghost Adventures fame.
Yep.
So we had some pretty. Anyway, so that was our start on AM radio, and we've kind of progressed through the years with this type of topic.
Well, right around the same time, we decided that we were going to take part in a paranormal investigative group, if you will.
And that was right when the whole Ghost Hunters
was huge.
Thing was huge.
Yes.
And everyone was getting a television show,
trying to cash in on
it, and some people continue to do it to this day. But so we delved, we dipped a toe into the paranormal.
You said
investigation world, and it's a good thing that we didn't dive in head first because we met some unsavory characters during our time.
Yeah,
and we quickly learned that the paranormal field is not what you think it is.
It definitely soured us to everything that had been going on in that field. So, and our big thing, Mike and I, is honesty and credibility, right?
Yes.
So, as soon as you make up one little thing, your credibility is gone, and then you have nothing now at this point, right?
Right.
So personally, I couldn't go on anymore if we decided to do something like that. So we were trying to be on the up and up as much as possible.
Yes.
We brought some people into our circle that we trusted, and they basically stabbed us in the back, tried to oust us.
We were ousted from our own group.
There was a coup from internally.
It was a coup attempt.
And before the coup, they would make stuff up and they would just lie about stuff, and it was very disheartening.
Yep.
And that's why we got out of the biz.
We got out of the business, and a good thing too, because like we said, there was just a lot of nonsense that was going on. There was faked evidence, and there was dramatic reactions to things that you could tell were totally made up. And we met, like you said, we met some folks, and some of these people that we met, and this is going on 11, 12 years ago, are still in the business, so to speak, and they're on the periphery of fame, and they say, "Oh, I was on this show and I was on this show." But what they don't realize is a lot of people laugh at them because their personalities are such that you can tell that they're completely making most of the stuff up as they go. But they cling to this fame, I guess, if you will.
So that brings us full circle to kind of why we're doing this particular.
That's the Crib Notes
documentary.
Version. You ever see those books when you were growing up? What?
You just brought something to my attention, but go ahead.
Okay.
Something I heard today.
You have a heart attack?
No, go ahead. Go.
They have these not Crib Notes. They were called Cliff Notes, and they were these yellow and black striped
Yes,
booklets,
yes.
and basically
Allowed
it was
you to cheat.
It was it was a condensed form of a book, like a literary work. So it would be like you'd get one for Shakespeare's Macbeth, and it would be like a really brief synopsis
Yes.
of Macbeth, which you read it means you didn't have to read the whole book.
So every swinging dink, if you will, on Earth now tries to come up with new and interesting ways to make money.
Yeah.
So there's all these different apps coming out and all over the place, right? For all different various things.
Yes.
And you brought up the Cliff Notes. So there's basically, I heard the ad on the radio today, and I don't want to give them a plug here, so I'm not going to mention the name. It's kind of a dumb name. But anyway, the concept of the app is it's an electronic Cliff Notes version.
Oh.
So let's say there's a book that you want to read, but you're too lazy to actually grab the book and read it.
Yes.
You just download this app, you download the electronic version of this book, and all it is it's just important snippets of the book. It's
So
not
it's
the
Cliff
actual
Notes.
book. Yes, it's electronic Cliff Notes, and somebody reads them off to you.
Oh,
And
you don't
listen
even have
them.
to read it.
No, you don't even read it. You just download it, and you just plays important points
Okay,
of the book.
so to the unintelligent person, it sounds like you read it.
Correct.
The uninformed
Because
person.
you'd be like, oh, chapter 7. And then they're like, oh, you're a smart guy.
You were channeling Billy Madison there for a minute.
Oh, thank you.
But anyway, yeah, so the Cliff Notes version of our experience was just now.
Yes.
So hopefully you were paying attention.
Correct. All right, so Mike, let me ask you this.
Why don't you ask me a
Let's
question?
do this little bit interview form quickly.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about our interest together, where it came from, the library and all that stuff. But as a youth, did you encounter or did you experience or anything that preempted you to kind of get into this sort of topic?
Yes.
Interest, if you will.
Yes, I can think of one thing clearly.
Okay.
And that was my experience at summer camp. Did you go to summer camp as a kid?
I was too afraid of summer camp.
You were afraid of a lot of things. And
I was.
You continue to be.
I was
to this
frightened.
day. But so you were too scared to go?
It's just the thought of it now gives me anxiety.
Yeah. Well, I had parents that didn't really care. So they dropped me off.
They wanted to get rid of you.
They dropped me off at camp, said see you later. I was like 8 years old, and I was there for the week, right? So they drop you off on like a Sunday. They pick you up on the following Saturday. So I did that camp for a couple of years, and it was called Camp Carana in Cumberland, Rhode Island.
Okay.
It's still there, and I torture my children every once in a while. I drive by, and I go, I'm going to make you go to Camp Carana. And they
Is
go,
it still
"No."
operational?
I think they do like a Boy Scout camp there,
Oh,
like
okay.
seasonally. I don't know that they do the operation that they did when I was a kid. But anyway, so it was sleepaway camp, which means you're there for the whole time you sleep there.
Yep.
And probably my first experience firsthand with the paranormal or urban legends or anything scary. I think I was about 8 years old, and most camps have scary stories associated with them, legends and so on. There's probably not a camp that exists that doesn't have this. And Camp Carana was no different. But their specific legend, if you will, was terrifying to me. Anyway.
You want to explain it?
I do, and it was called The Legend of Hot Shot Charlie.
Oh.
And Hot Shot Charlie was supposedly a deformed and crazed. They're always deformed and crazed. You ever notice that?
Yep.
Deformed and crazed old man who lived in the woods surrounding Camp Carana. And those wayward campers who would wander too far away from the light of the campfire would be snatched and have their lives
It's a way to keep the
extinguished.
kids in the camp.
That's exactly what it was.
Like the swamp around Paris Island.
That's right.
Okay.
So anyway, so that was the legend, and the legend started supposedly when there was a man named Charlie who had a cabin in the woods and lived with his family, and some whippersnapper children, kids, set fire to his house as a prank while he was away, and the fire subsequently killed his family.
That's not good.
No, and then when Charlie returned to the cabin and found his family dead, he went insane. He burned himself trying to save them, and that's why he's scarred, and that's why he hates kids, and that's why he inhabits the woods around Camp Carana.
I see.
So we would go on hikes with, and the whole notion of summer camp back in the 80s was crazy because you had kids in charge of kids. So like the counselors were like 15.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're in charge of, there was like one adult, and the adult stayed in the cabin and it was
Drank
like
whiskey.
Yeah, it was like Lord of the Flies, man. It was like, there was power struggles,
Yes.
and there were stabbing. No, there was no stabbings. But so we would go on these hikes through the woods, and the older counselors, like the 15, 16-year-old kids, would say, "Oh, don't go off the path. Hot Shot Charlie's going to get you." And it scared the living crap out of me to the point where I was crying
Yes.
to go on hikes because I didn't want to go because I was afraid that Charlie would get me. So that was my first experience with it. And that legend, throughout the last few weeks, we were talking about doing this documentary, and that one of the things we were going to discuss potentially is the Hot Shot Charlie legend because so many people know it, especially in this area. There's a lot of people that know that legend, and they still remember it to this day, and they went to that camp or they were somehow associated with it. And this legend is a little different because there's actually some evidence behind it maybe being potentially a little true.
Right.
Like there was a fire, there's remnants of a cabin there. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but something we'll look into.
And I think that's part of some of the things we're going to delve into in this documentary is where do these legends come from, right?
Right.
I think the majority of them really do stem from actual historical events that have taken place.
And they just morph.
They kind of morph into,
Yes.
a supernatural, story
Yeah.
that perpetuates the years.
So that's how mine started. So
Okay.
I want to ask you. Let's ask you the same question. Did
Sure.
you have something like that as a child?
I never went to camp. I was too afraid, as I mentioned. I was too afraid to sleep outside of my own home for quite some time. But I do remember a couple stories from the neighborhood.
Ooh, the
So there was a house right next door to my house growing up. If you looked at my front door to the right, it was called the Poor House.
The Poor House.
And not because they were downtrodden.
Ah.
That was their name.
the Poors.
The Poors.
What an unfortunate name.
And Mr. Poor was an older man, and there was the
You better have a lot of money. You walk around going, "Hey, this is Mr. Poor." You're like, "Shut up, man."
Mrs. Poor.
The children
And
poor.
they were 3 poor children. This is not a joke. They all lived there.
The poor children.
Apparently, they had a ghost in their house.
Oh.
And my brother, who was older than I, would sleep because he was friends with the older poor child, and he would sleep over there, and he would tell me stories about how he would sleep in the bedroom, and like weird things would happen in the middle of the night, like papers would fly randomly all over the place, and he'd hear strange noises and things.
He's your older brother.
My older brother. So that was that ghost story, and then there was another house at the top of the road. The Hankses lived there.
Tom.
Not Tom, but his far-reaching.
Do you like Tom
cousins.
Hanks? Do you find Tom Hanks?
I used to like Tom.
I thought he was a good actor. He's a good
jumped
actor.
the shark recently.
Why is that?
He doesn't make good movies anymore. He used to.
What is it? What's a bad movie that Tom Hanks made?
What was he in recently? Waterboy? Was that him?
Waterboy. What the hell are you talking about?
You put me on the spot.
That's Adam Sandler. I'm sorry.
I liked him in Forrest Gump.
I
That's
think Tom
it.
Hanks is a pretty good actor, but I think he plays a lot of the same character. Like so many,
Like Liam Neeson.
Yeah, it's like the same guy,
Same character
Same guy.
every time.
Leonardo DiCaprio, same character in every single movie.
So anyway, the Hanks house. There was another ghost that lived there too. Apparently, somebody had killed themselves there. Was the story I remember, but maybe that wasn't at all accurate. But so that's the ghost stories I remember as a youth.
Yes.
So going back to, or kind of fast forwarding a little bit to our teenage years, there was another local legend that we used to hear about, and it was called the House of Eyes.
The House of Eyes. That sounds scary.
sounds scary.
In and of itself.
Yes, and the House of Eyes, supposedly, there was a deformed person that lived there.
Again, deformed.
Yes.
They're always deformed.
Another deformed person.
Yeah, crazed and deformed.
And apparently, if you went, and the house was the last house on the right on a dead-end road.
Isn't that a movie? Well, that's the last house on the left.
Something like that. And if you drove down to this dead end.
But wait,
Yes.
but no one knew the exact location.
Nobody knew it.
It was like in the woods someplace.
Mysterious.
Yes.
So apparently you drive down there and this crazed person would be in the window and they would come
And
out
they would
at
chase
you,
you,
and
right?
chase you around.
Yeah.
So it was very, very scary.
Did anybody ever get caught by the deranged creature?
Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
But
There's a lot of unknowns.
somehow we decided, or somehow, I don't know how it happened, but we figured out the location of the House of Eyes.
Probably a word of mouth. There was no internet back then.
So this local legend started to become reality,
Yes.
which made it even more scary. So one crazed Friday, Saturday evening, I can't remember which, we all piled into a 1986 Chevy Nova
loaded up on Meisterbrow.
and decided to drive down this dead end. And I was scared pulling up to it, but did I really think I was going to see anything?
No.
Probably not.
You know what? I was driving.
And as we approached the house, sure enough,
Sure enough.
there was a crazed man in the upper window.
There was.
Flailing about.
Yes.
And we all started screaming.
It was like an orangey tinged
Yes.
window.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the front door opened.
Yes.
And someone started to come out of the shadows. And I jumped down under the seat and screamed like a child.
Well, the funny thing is, like you said, it was before. It was a dead end, so you
Yes.
couldn't. You couldn't. You'd have to like
You had
turn
to be like,
around. You had to do a 3-point turn to get
exactly.
out of there. You couldn't like.
It should be like David
drive.
Hasselhoff in Knight Rider.
Yes.
Pull a move to get
Yes.
out of there.
And you had a Nova, which at any time the transmission could fall through the floor. You don't know.
Correct.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
So yeah. So the House of Eyes was a true urban legend in as much as the place was real.
Yes.
And there was somebody in the window. But now that we look back at it, it was probably just some guy that was pissed off that kids kept driving by his house
Correct.
at all hours of the night.
Yes.
And was angry and yelled.
You know what? There
expletives.
probably was some truth to the fact that maybe there was a handicapped person that lived there.
Could have
or
been.
something wrong with the person, and they would get pissed because every Friday and Saturday kids would drive down the dead end.
But this is an example of a legend that's not entirely fleshed out either, because you have a deformed person that supposedly chases you, but there's nothing about the backstory. You don't understand why they're so angry or how they got that way.
Yes.
So how did that story start? Was it just like
I don't know.
some guy at the end of a street and the word of mouth passed, again, before the internet. So word of mouth between school kids and soon enough a teenage Mike and Jay are
Yes.
driving by the house.
Correct. You just don't know where they come from.
Never know.
But that one brought it to reality for me.
Yeah, so fast forwarding a little bit. Well, before we get to the next part, which I do want to talk about, mostly on this show, we do go off on tangents. And I wanted to ask you something that has nothing to do with the topic at hand.
Yes.
What makes a stew versus a soup?
A stew?
Yeah, like what constitutes a
Well,
stew?
a soup is more or a stew is more viscous, if you will. It's
viscous.
thicker.
It's thick.
There's larger chunks
It's got chunky foods
in
in
it. The what do they call it? The mixture is much thicker.
So yeah, okay, but what is the dividing line? So you have like chicken noodle is clearly a soup.
It's clearly a soup.
because it's almost like a see-through.
watery.
Yes, it's very
watery.
watery, even though it has noodles and little chunks of chicken in it.
Yes.
But what happens when you get to the Italian wedding soup, which has meatballs
It's
in
got
it?
meatballs.
Yeah,
But you have to look at the brothy material.
it's still brothy.
It's still liquid.
So is that a soup?
It's a soup.
It's not Italian wedding stew?
No.
Okay, but what about chili? Now, chili is its own thing.
No.
Chili is not a soup or a stew.
No,
it's
it isn't.
chili. It's its own brand of
It's a
food item.
It's its own. What it is it's a separate composite of a new composite.
Would you say that it's a stew?
It's more stew-like? But it
I'd
still
say
does
it's
not.
very-
it
it's very
still does not-
stew-like.
But even with a stew, you can move it around freely.
You can't move for no chili.
Yes.
Your spoon sticks up into
no,
the
I
middle
know,
of it.
but that's
So-
why it's not a stew.
Yes, but beef stew you can move around freely.
Correct.
Okay, but how come? So what is it the difference between chili and beef stew that you can clearly spoon one around?
A chili's more of like a slurry.
No,
it's slurry.
No, it's not a slurry.
Of course.
No, you're completely out of your mind.
I like chili.
I love chili, but that doesn't mean it's not a soup or a stew. It's its own food stuff.
It is its own. We agree.
Oh, we agree.
So why are we
I
arguing?
thought you said it was a stew.
No, but speaking of food, the whole COVID pandemic that has been going on.
I heard of it.
Obviously, it's tragic. It's terrible. We've never seen anything like it. But I think there's certain protocols that go above and beyond, and some things that don't make any sense.
I would say there's a lot of that going around.
So today, for example, you mentioned food. This is
Yes.
why I just thought of this. I went to a local fast food establishment. I won't mention it by name.
no,
It's a chain establishment.
is there a king
It causes.
involved?
I will tell you this. It causes gastro distress.
Well, they all do. So that does not narrow it down.
I went through the drive-through,
Okay.
and I noticed.
Is there a difference in drive-through experiences these days versus
Well, I'm
pre-COVID?
gonna tell ya.
Okay.
Here it goes. So I was behind a vehicle, and I saw the worker in the restaurant reach out of the window, which, by the way, is half blocked with plexiglass now.
Because that will protect them
There's only
from the
one
cold.
little hole where they can stick their little arm out.
If you cover the hole, they suffocate.
Yes. With a giant, like a plastic cup,
Okay.
pointed it towards the driver, and I go, what are they doing?
What?
So the driver takes their debit card,
No.
puts it in the cup, they drop it into the cup.
Really?
And then the worker takes it back in, presumably to swipe the card, puts it back in the cup, and then hands it back to the driver. Do you see a problem with this?
Well, wouldn't the virus be on the card? Not
What?
It would be on the card.
Yes.
So because it's okay. Let's walk this through.
Okay,
So I
okay.
have the virus.
You have the virus.
I give you my card.
Yep.
It's on the card now.
on the card.
right? So I drop it into the cup.
Yep.
It's still on the card.
still on the card.
Now you've grabbed it. Now,
Now
it's
you
on
take
you.
it out of the card, out
Yeah.
of the cup.
Yeah.
And you swipe
So
it.
how is that any different from just taking
how
it
is
from
the
you?
cup sanitary?
It's not.
How is the cup
And how many
saving
how
your
many
life?
people how many times
They
has
just use the same
a card been through that has a card been into that cup
That's correct.
and it hasn't been washed?
You see the problem.
Yeah, it's all window dressing.
It's all window dressing.
People are just out of their minds with this, and they're trying their best to try to make it look like they're doing something. It doesn't even necessarily mean.
No.
And here's case in point. So I don't work for this place anymore. I used to work for a company right at the beginning of the pandemic, and they instituted. They were really early on in the pandemic process. They instituted this taking temperatures when you walk in.
Yes.
because it was kind of like a controlled area. Not you couldn't just walk in. You need to have credentials to get in. But anyway, to make a long story short, it was a controlled group of people that worked there, so they wanted to check everybody's temperature when they came in. So they issued the security staff these thermometers, these non-contact thermometers. You're familiar with these? You see them everywhere now.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. You're a seemingly smart individual. Are those non-contact thermometers accurate in your opinion?
I mean,
Medical grade?
They're not as accurate as, say, a rectal.
No, they're not accurate. And there would be people that would come
I like
through.
rectal.
Yeah. There would be people that would come through and they would get their temperature checks and it would say 91. So that guy's been dead for several hours.
Correct.
The internal temperature is 91.
That's right.
So then they would go to work. So is that helping anybody? Is that eliminating the...
Well, it makes you feel good.
It makes somebody feel better that the temperature got taken.
You're doing good.
It's just not accurate.
You know what else is bothersome? And this is the last COVID tangent I'm going to go on.
Yeah.
The pretentiousness of everyone now.
Everyone.
Everyone is either a hero or a
Yes.
victim.
Yes.
And it's bothersome. I saw a commercial for Enterprise Rent-A-Car the other day, and what they do is they flash the face of the different employees across the screen. They have this very
Did they have masks on?
this look on them, like, oh, I'm saving your life because I sanitized the vehicle when you brought it in, and they have this very soft-spoken, whispery woman doing the narrative about how.
Yeah, but you're a fan of ASMR, that crazy weird fetish where people whisper
I do,
into
but
your ear.
I don't need people. I don't need the Enterprise Rent-A-Car people telling me how much of their employees are heroes. I don't.
Well,
need
they're trying to make you more comfortable about renting a car.
Well, I rent a car.
I haven't rented a car in a long time, but I can tell you that the best rental car experiences are the ones where you can pick whatever car you want.
Pick whatever you want.
They're like, have you done that before? It feels like you're stealing.
Well, I'm going to plug a company.
Okay. What?
Because I've used it before. Turo. You ever heard of Turo?
I've never heard of Turo.
It's like it's basically like people put their cars up for rent
What?
online. So if you have a vehicle,
Yeah.
like let's say you have an '82 Winnebago,
That'd be cool.
you put it up on Turo,
It's a meth lab.
and people pay you to rent it, and it's like daily fees. And you
Really?
can rent almost any car. People put all kinds of cars up.
How do you trust that they're going to come back?
No, you have to come back.
Why?
Well, because they take your information.
What if you don't?
They charge you with thievery.
Who's... I see. This sounds like a great way to steal a car.
All right.
But anyway, I was going to tell you, it feels
Yes.
like stealing because you walk up, you can pick whatever car you want, and the keys are in the car.
They're in the car.
And then you go in there, you go like, how are they going to let me get away with this? I'm going to get stopped. And then you do get stopped on your way out, and you got to show them like your ID.
There's always
and
hidden
stuff. There's always-
fees with rental cars, though.
There's hidden fees. They always say, oh, that scratch wasn't there when you got it.
I
got a rental
You have
car.
to have a major credit card. I'm like, I only operate in cash, people.
I got a rental car at Disney World a few years ago with my lovely family, and it was a minivan, and it had a flat tire. It had a slow flat. Excuse me. It was so.
and you got in trouble for it.
No, I was driving it, and I'd have to fill it up every morning before we went to the parks with air, and then by the time we would get home, it would be flat again. So the day we turned it back in, I just filled it with air and dropped it off and ran.
Got to get out of there.
Never got in trouble.
Nope, get out. All right, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break.
That sounds good.
We're going to regroup,
Might go to the bathroom.
play a little musical number, and then we'll come back at you.
Sounds good.
All right. And we're back. What'd you think of that little musical interlude there?
It was wonderful. I used the opportunity to go urinate.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you make your own music in the toilet?
Are you ever worried that the sound you're making in the toilet
Yes,
is
it's too loud.
Is visible? I'm not visible. Is audible?
It's too loud.
to those outside.
Depending on the social situation, what I do is I pee on the porcelain on the inside of the
Yes,
toilet.
yes.
I don't hit the water.
No,
Because
that
I don't
makes
want to make
entirely too much noise.
It's too embarrassing.
Okay, here's a situation, and
Yes.
I have not prepared you for this. Let's say you're in a public restroom.
Okay.
And there's multiple stalls.
Yep.
And you have to take a dump, real bad. Like it's gonna be
no avoiding it.
It's gonna be a show.
Okay.
If you will.
Okay.
You go in there and there's nobody in the bathroom.
Nobody in there.
And it's a great feeling when you go in. Like you have to go to the bathroom really bad. You go in the bathroom. There's nobody there. You look underneath. There's no feet.
No feet.
So you go. First of all, what stall do you pick?
The furthest from the door.
Exactly. Furthest from the
Yes.
door. You pick the first. Okay. So you get in there. You you make the ass gasket. You put the paper down.
Yep.
You get situated. You put your phone on the little paper towel dispenser, and you're about to go. Somebody walks into the bathroom.
Yes.
What do? Do you hold it or do you let fly?
You try to do a controlled burn, if you will.
A controlled burn.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, you kind of like you slightly tense the sphincter enough to
You
allow it to
let
come
go
out
a little bit.
Yes, and it's just slowly gonna.
What
come
if it
out.
comes? It's coming out. It's coming out.
Then it comes out. There's nothing you can do.
I try to wait because
You do?
Yeah, depending on so if the person
that's
is
too much pressure.
If the person approaches the
You blow an
urinals,
O-ring. Yeah.
if the person approaches the urinals and I know it's going to be a short duration, I'll wait. Now, if they go into another stall, it's fair game. You
gotta let it go.
Gotta let it go.
Now let me ask you this.
Yes.
So let's say you rip it.
Yeah, gotta go.
Right. You're in the stall. Somebody comes in.
Yep.
You got to wait for that person to leave.
Oh
right?
yeah, you can't make eye
You
contact.
can't come out.
No.
You can't come out while they're washing their
can't see-
hands.
They can't
see you come out.
That especially
No.
if you're at work.
No.
You know, like when you're in a workplace.
Yes.
And you really have to go.
You don't want them to see you.
You don't want them to see you.
No.
And then you try to.
And then when you come out, you got to quickly get out of
you
there.
sneak out like a cat burglar trying to
Yes.
get out the bathroom.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, I'm glad we're on the same page. With
All right, good. So what we're going to do now is we have 4 emails that we because I went through all the 666 emails.
There's a lot of emails we had.
I filtered through them, and these were the 4 that addressed the show specifically.
Okay.
And so we're gonna read them as they are. So I'm handing Mike a couple,
I've not seen these before.
and I'm gonna read them. Okay. All right. So my first one it says, "Dear Mike and Jay, this is from trollbooty1 at yahoo.com. I don't know what the hell that means. And their email says 2 words basically. It says, "You suck."
Yes,
That's it.
That's a good one.
That's
Really?
the only. That's
Who
the
is
only
it from
2 words.
again?
Trollbooty1.
Troll Booty.
Trollbooty1.
Hey, if you're listening, Troll Booty, thank you for the feedback.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Actually, I have one other song with the same lines from that.
Oh.
It's from Glass Bottom Boat.
Oh,
So that's a cool one.
at what?
I'm not telling because I don't want people to email this person.
All right.
Glass Bottom Boat. Roses are red, violets are blue. The sun is shiny. Mike and Jay eat stool. That's
We were just talking about stool. That's interesting.
wonderful.
Thank you, Glass Bottom Boat.
Thanks for your feedback.
All right. This is to the Eon Project. This is from scissorkicks
Ooh.
at gmail.com.
Scissor kicks. I bet it's a hot chick.
It says, I truly miss you guys. Oh,
Oh,
please come back.
pleasant.
This was a year ago.
Oh,
My life is incomplete without you.
it says that?
Yeah.
Does it have a number? I'm calling.
We'll have to email him back. So that was that. That's that one.
Okay, I got another one.
Yep.
This is from my man nipple chicken foot. Okay, so that sounds
That's interesting.
man nipple chicken foot.
All right.
Dear Mike and Jay, I'm willing to pay for you to come back to us. I could also barter random pleasure acts. It's up to you. Please get back to me.
I'm going.
That's cool.
You can email chicken nipples or whatever.
man
it's called.
man nipple chicken foot.
Okay.
I'm definitely getting back to that person
All right.
because I got some things in mind.
Oh, boy. All right. See the kind of stuff we get here in the Eon Project. This is why we went off the air.
Yeah, most people don't care.
Gratuitous.
That's okay. And you know what? If we're able to bring a little mirth and merriment into your lives, great.
Mirth? Mirth?
Mirth.
What does mirth mean?
Mirth of fun.
That's mirth?
Mirth.
I've heard of myrrh.
No, mirth.
I've never heard of mirth.
You never heard of mirth?
I've never heard of the word mirth in my life.
M-I-R-T-H, mirth.
M-I-R. Nope, never heard of it.
No? I have a word question for you. You know the word month? Like you having month? This is the month of January.
Yeah?
When you say plural, how do you say it?
Months?
Months. Is that so?
It's tough
Is
to
that
say.
weird to anybody else
Hold on.
but me?
Months.
It's got a th, so it's months. It's hard to say.
Month?
Months.
Spitting all over the microphone.
Ew. Don't you have a spit shield over there?
I have a pop filter.
What's that?
That
I don't have
keeps
one.
The buzz.
How come I don't have one?
You don't have one? Because I broke it.
Wow.
All right, go. What do you got to tell me?
So we discussed a little bit about the origins of our interest in the strange and unusual.
Yes.
How we began our journey, how we got into radio, and then later podcasting and everything, and what we're doing with the documentary. But before we get to that, well, we did already get to that. I wanted to talk a little bit about what makes us a little different and kind of a unique perspective on the entire field, if you will. And that's because, if you're a fan of the show, you know this. We are military veterans, specifically of the United States Marine Corps. Brent, our wonderful compatriot who is helping us with the documentary project, is also a veteran of 2 different branches of service, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Two branches. And most people who our veterans or served in the military for any length of time probably wouldn't be discussing this type of topic. It's not something that is, germane to folks, or you wouldn't think it was. That's what I wanted to say. You wouldn't think that somebody who was involved in the military would be into this sort of thing. But I want to talk about a couple of quick examples of just that type of thing.
Sure.
If that makes sense. So, the United States Marine Corps has a reputation. What would you say the reputation of the Marine Corps is? As opposed to other branches of service?
Drunken war fighting.
Yeah. So, it's typically looked at as the most rabid kind of thing, would you say? Rabid adherent. It's more, I had a National Guard guy tell me fairly recently that he joined the National Guard because the Marine Corps is not a branch of the service, it's a cult. And he didn't want to join a cult. And in some aspects, he's exactly right. Because people who join the Marine Corps don't join it because you get more money or you don't get any additional benefits of joining. They join it because they want to be part of that organization. And as a result, you get a different attitude towards... Does that make
Different
sense?
perception.
Yeah.
Gung-ho is the term that we use.
Yes. So you wouldn't think that people who were in the Marine Corps would be into this type of thing because it's not, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it would be fitting with that type of experience. However, I will tell you that one of my first experiences at my first duty station involved the paranormal. Would you like to hear the
I
story?
would love to hear it.
Okay. My first duty station, I was a military police officer, as some of you may know. And I was stationed on the wonderful island of Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, hey, Ragatone.
After graduating boot camp and going through my training and everything like that, they decided to give me a gun and some bullets, and they told me how to use them. And they said, go patrol this base on Okinawa, Japan. Okay, so I was like 19 years old. And as I'm, the way you learn how to patrol is you just drive around and you look for stuff that doesn't look, you look for stuff that looks weird, I guess. And one of the areas of the Camp Hansen, Okinawa, Japan, which I was assigned to, was there was a rifle range out in off to the side, of the main side base, if you will. And part of the patrol area was you got to go out there and drive around. In my time there, I never saw any other human being out at the rifle range because I worked overnight shift. So I would go out and just drive around, make sure that there was nobody out there.
All hours of the night.
All hours of the night. You just drive. And what you do is you get into a routine, which you probably shouldn't do as a policeman. But you just drive around and you just kind of drive around. One of the nights I was out there and had just started, middle of the night, I had to go to the bathroom really, really bad. And I was out in the rifle range area. It was a little bit removed from the main side.
Driving around by yourself.
Driving around by yourself, I should say that. You don't get a partner.
Nope.
You would know. Is it a miss? When you look at cop shows on TV, there was a partner.
It depends.
Is there partners?
There are partners. In certain places, certain departments, they do have partners.
Like the more high-risk departments, maybe?
It just depends on what their SOP is.
I never had a partner. Maybe because it smelled bad. But anyway, so this one particular night, I'm out at the rifle range in that area. I had to use the bathroom. Now, they had these... it wasn't like a porta potty, but it wasn't like a real bathroom either. It was like this kind of field toilet thing. And they had like a weird roof to it. It's hard to explain, but it wasn't like a real nice bathroom. But I had to go to the bathroom real bad. So I go into the bathroom, and as I'm walking into the bathroom, I remembered something. I remembered my training officer, who I had just done some training with very recently, told me there was a ghost at the rifle range in the bathroom.
Oh.
And I said, and I didn't remember that until I was walking into the bathroom, and I remember the story. And the training guy said there was a Marine out at the training area who killed himself in that bathroom. And you can still see the bullet hole in the roof where he killed himself. And I said, and I didn't remember that until I was going to the bathroom, and I looked up.
You didn't want to look up, though.
I didn't want to look up. I'm like, I don't want to look up. Now I'm in a haunted bathroom by myself in the middle of nowhere in a foreign country. I'm 19 years old. This is one of the most scary experiences of my life. And I looked up, and guess what I saw?
A bullet hole.
No bullet hole.
No bullet hole?
There was no bullet hole.
Oh.
No.
It was an urban legend.
I don't think
Or at least they repaired it and you didn't know.
Or they repaired, for instance, okay, let's look at it logically. Let's say that a Marine killed himself. Would they repair that hole? Probably.
Probably.
They probably would repair the hole.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think that story was true.
Well,
but it led me to wonder about, military people's experiences with the paranormal. And there's a lot of them. Did you have any experiences while you were in the service?
I never did. No, I mean, not paranormal experiences as normal people would describe them. I mean, I had various strange experiences,
Oh, sure. Mostly related to alcohol.
alcohol and strange ladies.
Women-
but,
women
other than
folk.
that, no.
Angry prostitutes.
No, I didn't really. Honestly, I've been the kind of person that has always wanted to see or experience something of that sort, where I could say, "Wow, that was an interesting, unexplained event." I never was able to do that up until we actually started doing our paranormal investigative team, and Mike and I always when we went out on these expeditions. We always tend to stay together because we work well together. We know each other's. We have integrity, and we're not going to bullshit the other person.
Right.
So there was one particular residence that we were investigating, and it was a pretty uneventful evening for the most part, except for when I almost fell through the roof, climbing through the attic. I fell through the ceiling. But anyway, we were down in the basement at one particular point, and we were just standing there doing the normal, like you see on TV, asking the questions and all of this, with our backs into the corner of the room.
Yes.
And suddenly we heard a very guttural, growling sound that was coming kind of from behind us, but there was really no behind us.
Right. It was
Because
just
we were
a
in
wall.
the corner. It was a wall, and we were in the basement
Yep.
of this old, 150-year-old schoolhouse or whatever that turned into a residence.
Yes.
And that was very interesting to me.
Yeah, that is a true story.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
And then another event that happened, we were actually in another residence that was featured prominently on the Ghost Hunters TV show, which was in a neighboring. I think it was Blackstone, Massachusetts, which is a neighboring community here.
Yes.
And we were, we had set up the cameras and everything, and we're taking video, and we were going to review the evidence, and we were sitting around watching the video that was recorded from the master bedroom. And I know for a fact that this was legit because I was there when they were setting the camera up. It wasn't something that could have been fudged because I had been there the whole time. And, take it with a grain of salt, if you will. You can believe me or not. I'm a man of integrity.
Supposedly.
Except when it comes to giving my debit card to the Taco Bell people. Oh, shoot. I said Taco Bell.
It was Taco Bell.
Oh, it was.
Oh.
Anyway, so we're standing there reviewing the video, and the lights are on in the bedroom, and there's just the camera in there where you see the people set the camera up, walk out of the room. A little while later, there are these louvered doors, closet
louver?
doors. Louvered.
What's a louver?
You know what a louver is?
No.
Like slatted.
You made that up.
Slatted doors.
What's a louver?
Like different slats, like in a dressing room at a store. The slatted
Slats.
doors. Slats.
Slats.
Louvered.
Like where a cuckold will stand while
Yes.
his wife is getting railed by some other guy, and he looks through the slats,
The minuscule,
and he chews on his fingers, and he goes.
slat, yes. I guess if that's how you want to say it.
Anyway, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, all of a sudden you see a ball of light, a little ball, I guess, in relation to the slat. It was probably maybe like smaller than dime-sized, right? Like a little pea-sized maybe. Ball of light emanate from one of these louvers, or slats, if you will, comes out of the closet, goes down, kind of like moves around, moves over to the bed, flies around the pillow. This is so weird, even saying it, because it sounds completely ridiculous.
It does.
And then it goes back to the closet, up into the louver, and disappears off.
And it couldn't have been dust or any type of, because it had its own illumination.
It illuminated, it just moved around and then took off and then never came back.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to me as well.
Yeah, and so I think my biggest problem with the whole paranormal investigation world is that evidence is probably very hard to come by, and when things do happen, it's never dramatic. It's always something somewhat small or something you have to look at, or it's a noise. But when you look at these, especially the TV shows, and I think what happens is these groups all want to be famous, right? They all want to get on TV, and they feel like the only way they can do that is by making it more elaborate and showing that there's something outrageous that happens. And in reality, that's not how it is.
And they're on TV, so there's the pressure of being on TV.
Right.
There's the pressure of making something interesting that people are going to want to watch, right? That's not how it happens, generally speaking.
Right. And my question, too, is why is it always nighttime? Do ghosts not arrive during the day? Why wouldn't it, what does nighttime have to do? It just makes it more dramatic. And it also makes it easier to read into things. If you see shadows, if you're in a brightly lit room, you can see everything very clearly. It's not likely that something will take you by surprise.
I think we can describe ourselves as skeptical believers, right?
Yeah.
So we've said this, we've used that term before. we definitely believe in the fact that there are strange things that we can't necessarily explain with science. We can't explain with normal reality, but there are things out there that are just beyond the veil, if you will, that we can't really that we don't understand or can't explain.
Right.
However, as Mike elucidated brilliantly, was that it's not so dramatic.
Right.
It's usually it's something that's very minute.
Yeah.
And you have to be very aware of what you're doing. And the thing is too, it's just one of those things. So that brings us, harkens back to the documentary we're going to do.
Yes, and I think part of the reason that we talked about doing the documentary was to look into the process. It's not going to be a movie about doing a paranormal investigation. That's not the movie. The movie is about how the story started, where it came from, how it evolved, how it affects people's lives, that kind of thing. And we probably will have a little bit of, the traditional paranormal investigation part of it, but only to the effect where we're trying to show how the process can be altered and faked and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Because I know that a lot of that does take place.
It does take place, and as we mentioned earlier, from our own experience, right? Particular individuals would ham it up for the camera. Everything is fine, and then all of a sudden they walk by the camera and they're like, "Oh!"
I think the thing that bothers me the most is that there are a lot of people out there who think that they're experts in. I'm an expert in the paranormal. First of all, there's no such thing. Because if you were an expert in it, you'd be able to explain what everything is. You can't. And if you go on these social media pages and you go on the internet sites, everybody knows. Oh, that's a demonic spirit that is attacked. Well, how do you get where are you getting this from? People just create this crap out of nonsense, and then they wonder why everyone thinks that they're nuts because they don't approach things from a practical standpoint. They act like they know, and that no one knows.
It's hard to have an expert in something that is not, repeatable or something that you can't verify through the scientific method.
Yes.
Right. So you can't say, well, this A happened, so B is going to happen.
Right.
You can't. It's just difficult to have an expert. You can have people with experience.
Sure.
People that have done certain things, and if you believe and if they're being 100% honest with you, you can take their experiences and run with it as far as that goes.
I think that the downfall for me. And why I got out of the whole paranormal business, if you will, was I can point to one specific person. And this is a person, I was standing in a supposedly haunted site with a group of people, and this person had one of those miner helmets on with a little light on top of it.
I like those.
And she had all this, it was a she had all this equipment and was calibrating it, and I said, this is an idiot that doesn't know anything. And I have to stand here with it. I'm not going to be here anymore.
Well, and a lot of the things too is, and we've gone out with different groups.
Yeah.
And they're trying to document and record minute fluctuations in the environment, and they're smoking cigarettes and drinking natty ices. I'm like, that's not how you do this, right? I mean, yes. And then they'll have a device that's got lights on it, and all of a sudden the lights turn from green to yellow, and they go, "Whoa!" Yeah. But what does that mean?
Oh, what
does it mean? Anything?
I'm getting electromagnetic frequencies. Yeah, you're in a house that has electricity going through it. You're going to get electromagnetic fluctuations. There's walls with wires in them. There's appliances. There's all sorts of things that are going on. And if let me ask you this: if everything that they do supposedly that is scientific in order to create, in order to document evidence of the paranormal, if all that works, how come there isn't any? How come there's no evidence of the paranormal? How come it's not on the evening news? It's always something that's a personal experience, or I had a psychic vision. Psychics to me are some of the worst people on earth because they either are completely full of it and lying, or they've deluded themselves into thinking that they can communicate with spirits and everything, because everything is a personal experience. You can't prove that they didn't have that experience. Yeah. See what I'm saying?
As far as psychics are concerned, I feel like there are certain people out there that are able to be in tune with certain things that others are not, right? Like they can tune into different frequencies, just like a person can, run a 40-yard dash in 4 seconds, or jump.
I can do that.
Dunk a basketball, that kind of thing. Like everybody has different abilities. It doesn't necessarily make it supernatural.
Right.
It just makes it natural for that person to be able to do that. With that said, there are people that take advantage of that, though. And that's why what we're trying to do, we're trying to weed through the nonsense and get to the truth and the reality of all these things that are going on.
But of greater interest, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but of greater interest to us is not so much the scientific aspect of it, but more of the experiences that people have that led them to this point. Whether that's a story that they heard when they were growing up, something that affected them, something, an experience that they had as a kid that affected them for the rest of their lives. I think that's where our documentary is going. That kind of thing.
What do you think about refunds?
Refunds like what?
Refunds. Let me ask you this. You ever been in a situation where you had to purchase something via a debit or credit card?
Yes.
And then, for whatever reason, you had to cancel that transaction, right?
Yeah.
So when you swipe it, they immediately take your money.
You're very aggressive right now.
Right?
Scaring me.
Do they not? Right? Immediately the transaction goes through.
If it's a debit card, yes.
And then you go, well, listen, for whatever reason, I need my money back. I need to cancel this transaction. Well, that'll be 10 to 15 bits. Wait a second.
Yeah, you took my money right away.
You just took my money right away.
Yeah.
This just happened to me, that's why. And I had to call several times to get my money back.
Yes.
Well, sir, we have to...
Sir.
It has to go through corporate.
Corporate.
And we have to verify the refund. And then we have to get about 7 to 10 business days. I'm like, wait a second.
You took it right away. You can't give it back right away.
You took my money. You took it right away. Give it back. I need it, man.
Also, yes, no, that whole process is ridiculous. But also taxes. Think about this for a minute. So when you pay taxes, right? You pay income tax. And let's say at the end of the year, you ever come up with... You ever have to pay money?
Well, I still owe.
Yeah. So
don't tell the IRS. I owe thousands upon thousands
End of the year, you have to pay money,
yes.
right? So you got to pay the money, and you have to pay interest on that money. But when the government takes your money and then refunds you at the end of the year, they didn't pay interest on that money. So how come they don't pay interest? They kept my money for a whole year. They don't pay me any more than they took.
Because everything is a scam. Yeah. Everything is to screw you and I and every other regular person in the world.
Yes.
And I can't stand it.
No. Anyway.
Excuse me. So let's talk a little bit about... We'll end the program on this note. Let's talk a little bit about the documentary that we're doing.
Yeah.
A little bit more, okay? So as we mentioned, we're going to get together with Brent. Brent lives in Indiana.
Yep.
The heartland of the U.S., if you will.
A lot of wheat there.
A lot of wheat, a lot of corn, a lot of crazed chickens running about. Flat lands all around. Love it there. I've been there many a time.
I've never been to Indiana.
I'm going to live there someday.
Oh, really?
I am.
You're going to live on the flatlands?
I'm going to live in the flats.
I haven't imagined if the ocean levels rise as they are supposed to do. Indiana is probably a pretty good place to be, right? Because you're right in the middle of nowhere.
Well, it's further inland.
Hundreds and hundreds of miles inland.
Of course. So anyway, here we are in New England, Rhode Island, Massachusetts area.
The New England area.
Mike and I are putting together our portion of this documentary. Brent is doing his due diligence to do his end. And at some point, we're going to coalesce. We're going to combine our forces.
Mesh.
We're going to head out to the heartland. And we're going to put together this, certain aspects of this documentary, record some things out there together.
Hopefully fully clothed.
Fully clothed.
Most of the time.
Until the adult beverages start. Then who knows what's going to happen. And then who knows what's going to happen after
Who knows? It's a free-for-all.
But we're going to go out there. We're going to talk about some things. We're going to have a roundtable discussion. We're going to investigate some of the local legends to Indiana.
Yep.
And I think probably if we continue with the Eon Project, which I think we enjoy doing.
Yeah, it's fun.
We'll have Brent back on. He'll talk about his end of the thing. Of things.
His end.
His end, which is interesting. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, sounds like a good time will be had by all.
What do you think about that?
I think it's going to be fun. I think this is the start of a wonderful adventure in movie making, hopefully to become a worldwide phenomenon. The Eon Project goes live.
Exactly. So hopefully we can build on this and stay back with our mind focused and the things going where they need to be.
And we do have a new email address. I want to give that out. We have formed a new media company. It's called Hermit Light Media.
Yes, that's correct.
It's hermit light, meaning like a hermit, like somebody who lives out in the wilderness.
Yes.
And doesn't like anyone.
That's correct. If you could picture the inside cover or the cover of Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin.
Yes, he's the hermit. The hermit is a old tarot card. So you can go to hermitlightmedia.com. Actually, I'm sorry, it's just hermitlight.com. hermitlightmedia@gmail.com. You can also get a hold of us at theguys@hermitlight.com.
So I'm confused. Was it Hermit Light Media?
No.
No.
So hermitlight.com is the website.
HermitLight.com is the website.
hermitlightmedia@gmail is the web is an email. Another way to get a hold of us is
Gotcha.
theguys@hermitlight.com.
The Guys.
The Guys.
Ugh. And you can still reach us at theeonproject@yahoo.com as well.
You can?
That's where, what was it? What was Chicken Foot Man? What was it called? What was his
Hold
name?
on, let me pull this up again.
What was his name?
It is Man Nipple Chicken Foot. Whatever that is.
Okay. Man Nipple Chicken Foot.
Hopefully you're listening because I want to talk to you.
Yes, absolutely. So, just remember, until next time, the truth exists. Believe it.